Hello, and welcome to the 9th update video for Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition. For this update, we have a lot of exciting, new features to go over for the project, which includes a proper 60 FPS mode, full mouse support, improved controller support, better language pack compatibility, and more. So let's jump straight into it. If you are already using Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition, simply run the setup tool, sh2eesetup.exe, located in the game's main folder and select Update Packages. From here, update any packages that have an update available and you're good to go. Now, for those who have been previously using Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition, you'll notice that on the Update Packages window, we have replaced XInput Plus with Xidi as our solution for improved controller support. While XInput Plus is a great piece of software, Xidi offers many of the same benefits as XInput Plus, along with other convenient features. Most notably, with the use of Xidi, you no longer have to plug in your controller prior to launching the game. So long as you're using an XInput controller, such as an Xbox or compatible 8-bit Do controller, it can be connected at any time while playing and the game will detect the controller. Likewise, whatever controller Silent Hill 2 PC detected would be the only one it would use while the game is running. So if you change controllers while playing, the game will not pick up the new controller. But with Xidi, you can now disconnect an XInput controller and connect a totally different one and pick up right where you left off. When you update to Xidi through the setup tool, it will remove all previous XInput Plus files from the game's directory for you. There's nothing more you need to do except run the setup tool and update the appropriate package to receive Xidi. So let's not stall any longer and talk about the two biggest, most exciting changes included with this update, which are the 60 FPS mode and full mouse support. We are so excited to announce that this update for Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition now features a first of its kind, proper 60 FPS mode for the game. While we've always had an option to run the game at a higher frame rate, we never publicly advertised this due to certain audio and visual elements breaking when playing the game at anything higher than 30 frames per second. This is because a lot of the game's animations, scripted events, and general logic are tied to the frame rate, which was common practice for game development back in the day. As such, we knew we had to fix the most egregious high frame rate issues in order for us to feel comfortable publicly releasing a 60 FPS mode with our project. And fix we did. Let's quickly go over the high frame rate issues we've resolved for the project's new 60 FPS mode. When playing the game at 60 frames per second, we fixed issues where the fog was moving twice as fast, the water was moving twice as fast, water that would drain or rise happened twice as fast, the low health indicator flashed twice as fast, ejected bullet casings from the handgun and shotgun would glitch out, the ritual prison monster's audio events were happening twice as fast, the animations for whenever James wrote on his map were twice as fast, timed events and cutscenes became out of sync.
I look like Mary?
The intensity of motion blur events was reduced by half. The visual range of the lion figure's spray attack was twice as long, making it look like it was hitting the player when it actually wasn't. The same goes for the hyperspray spray. The flames in the hotel stairway, along with the moving lights in this room caused by the flames, animated twice as fast. Enemies with attacks that hold you in place would deal twice as much damage. The time at which the game shows Eddie's pre-cutscene death animation happened twice as fast. And the physics of the hanging meat would behave incorrectly. Side note, I never thought I would be discussing meat physics for this project. We are proud to share what we feel is the first true, proper 60 FPS mode for Silent Hill 2. The feeling of playing this game at a smooth frame rate without high frame rate bugs makes for a wonderful experience, and may even give the sensation of playing it all over again for the first time. And on the topic of revitalizing the game, we are equally excited to announce that Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition now features full mouse support for the game. While Silent Hill 2 PC has always offered mouse support, you were limited to only using the mouse while in menus or during puzzles. With this update, you can now use the mouse during regular gameplay to control James. Moving the mouse left or right will turn him. When activating Search View, mouse movement can be used to fully control where James is looking. Left click is used to examine and interact with the world. And right click will cancel out of text prompts and menus, along with readying your weapon during normal gameplay. To use your weapon, hold down right click to ready your weapon, then press left click to attack. Oh, and you can also use your mouse wheel to quickly cycle between available weapons. Do note that character movement with the mouse only works when you are using rotational 3D controls, aka tank controls. This is an intended feature, as directional 2D movement with the mouse would be virtually unplayable. Left click, right click, mouse wheel, and search view functionality with the mouse will always work the same, regardless of the control type being used. In short, if you're familiar with Silent Hill 3 PC, mouse behavior is largely the same here now. If you are already using Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition and would like to take advantage of full mouse support with the game, we recommend that you change character movement to the WASD keys. This change will help complement the new mouse movement, which should provide an overall better experience when using keyboard and mouse together.
Ow.
However, we went one step beyond and included mouse support in a few other areas. For example, now when you pull up the pause menu, you can move your mouse to cycle between and select choices here. The same goes for the memo screen. You can now move your mouse to navigate between choices. You can also use your mouse wheel here to quickly cycle between them. And we've also fixed some input issues on this screen. The Enter key will now always select memos, and the keyboard arrow keys will now always cycle between choices, making their behavior the same as all other menu screens found in the game. Continuing on the topic of game inputs, let's go over some other quality of life improvements we've made in this regard. we've now included a new toggle option for movement type in the game's options menu. This new toggle option replaces the analog option found in this menu. For those familiar with the game, you know that you can set James to either walk or run by default, and that holding down the movement button will have him perform the other action for as long as that button is held down. With our new toggle option, you no longer have to hold the movement button down. Simply press the movement button and James will go from walking to running, or vice versa. This new feature works with both keyboard and controllers. And don't worry, although we've replaced the analog option with toggle, full analog support for controllers still works when this new toggle option is being used. We've introduced a feature where the strafe inputs will act as additional movement inputs while navigating menus and text selections. This could be especially useful if you decide to assign strafing to the A and D keys. We fixed an issue where, if there are 3 options in the command window of the inventory screen, the mouse would not properly interact with these selections. On the same topic, we've also fixed an issue where, if the mouse is hovering over an option within the command window, you are previously unable to use the keyboard or controller inputs to change the selection. We've added a feature to prevent key binding issues for the non-numpad 0 through 9 keys. Let's take a step back first to better explain. In Silent Hill 2 PC, all of the weapons you acquire throughout the game are hardcode assigned to the 0 through 9 keys on your keyboard. For example, 1 is always assigned to the plank, 2 is for the steel pipe, and so on. Because this is a hard-coded feature for the game, you cannot unassign these weapons from their respective keys. So the problem is, if you decide that you want to assign 1 as reload, for example, James will not reload when you press 1. He will instead switch to the plank, since the plank is hardcode assigned to that number. Obviously this is no good. So to address this, we now have a check in place where, if you decide to assign any function to the 0 through 9 keys, the game will disable pulling up whatever weapon that was hardcode assigned to that number. And if you decide to remove your keybind later on, the weapon will be restored to that key. We're happy to announce that the Japanese language is now restored in the game.
In my restless dreams, I see that town.
When Silent Hill 2 PC released, all of the Japanese text strings were removed from the game, and most of the Japanese characters were removed from the game's font sheet. Over time, we collected the Japanese language files from other retail builds of the game, and made the files fully compatible with Silent Hill 2 PC. Likewise, the font sheet was rebuilt to include all the missing Japanese characters as part of our custom, high-resolution font. Speaking of the high-resolution font sheet, the game would often not render the HD font for users on very old or weak computers. To help address this, we've approached how we handle and display the HD font in the game. Our hope is that more users on older computers will now be able to enjoy crisp, detailed text. On the topic of text, we've also fixed an issue where the subtitles were being rendered behind the noise grain during FMVs.
What's a little girl like you doing here?
The subtitles will now render on top, making their behavior consistent across all their parts of the game.
What's that letter?
Our project now includes menu overlays, one of which is more helpful for us, and the other which may prove helpful for you. By pressing Ctrl-G while in-game, you can pull up the Debug Overlay. This overlay provides a behind-the-scenes look at some of the information and processes going on for the game and our project. We included this menu to help with troubleshooting purposes. Nothing in life is perfect, so we know issues may come up while playing the game, and it is our hope that this overlay can help you and us with trying to solve certain problems. The other overlay is one that completionists will certainly love. As many of you already know, with Silent Hill 2, you can only achieve certain endings, weapons, and ranks by performing specific tasks while playing. By pressing Ctrl-I, you can bring up the info overlay, which provides a ton of useful information for a player who is trying to achieve certain goals with the game. Do you need to know how many enemies you've killed by fighting versus shooting? The info overlay can help. Do you need to know how many saves you made, or the total number of items you've collected so far? The info overlay can help with that too. Or how about just wanting to know what your current in-game time is? The info overlay also has you covered there. We of course strongly encourage you to not use this overlay on your first playthrough. You should simply play and enjoy the game. But we're positive this overlay will be a lifesaver for those playing subsequent playthroughs wanting to achieve 100% of everything this game has to offer. We've now included a CRT shader with our project. If you never owned, or no longer own, a CRT television and want a hit of nostalgia, try playing the game with the shader turned on. You can enable the shader by opening the configuration tool and finding it under the shaders category. For the best nostalgic experience, be sure to play the game in a 4:3 aspect ratio while using the CRT shader.
It wasn't me. I didn't do it.
I'll be okay soon. Did you find Lore?
You can even enable a screen curvature to further the effect. Do note that it is not recommended to use a shader if you're on a weaker or older computer. It is also not recommended to stream the game while using this shader, as the lines created by the CRT effect may distort the game image to your streaming audience if you have resized the game image through your streaming software.
Anyway, I'm glad you're alive.
We've cosmetically cleaned up and fixed some quirks with quick save functionality in the game. To start, we've addressed the alignment for quick save text strings. Previously, the position of the quick save text would always be contained in a 4:3 aspect ratio, regardless of the aspect ratio you were currently playing the game on. Now, the quick save text will always be located at the bottom left of the game screen. The quick save text strings are now color coded to help with their overall use. Successful quick saves will now be purple in color, and unsuccessful quick saves, or areas where you cannot quick save, will be red. What's nice about this is that you can now look out for the color of the text through your peripheral vision to instantly know whether or not your quick save was successful. We fixed an issue where, under certain circumstances, the quick save text would only stay on the screen for a few frames. And lastly, we fixed an issue where the quick save text would overlap itself if you spam the quick save button. We've added further language support to both the project setup tool and configuration tool. Let's start with the setup tool. Whenever you first launch the tool to install our project, you will be asked what language you'd like to run the tool in. As of this time, we offer English, Spanish, Italian, Brazilian Portuguese, and Japanese for language choices. You can also change this language when running the tool in maintenance mode by selecting the Choose Language button at the bottom left on the main window. Moving on to the configuration tool, we currently offer English, Italian, and Spanish as language choices. You can change a language by using a language drop-down list located at the top right of this tool. We plan to include additional languages for both of these tools as time goes on. And speaking of language support, let's talk about language packs for the game. Silent Hill 2 offers 6 languages by default: Japanese, English, French, German, Italian, and Spanish. To play in a language not offered by the game, you need to download a fan-made translation pack which replaces one of these languages. This typically presents one of two problems though. If you place a translation pack in the game's data folder, you will be overwriting the game's original files, and unless you made a backup of these original files beforehand, they'll be gone forever. This is obviously not a good practice to do. For our project, we place all of our modified game files into our own custom sh2e folder. Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition will check and use files in the sh2e folder rather than the data folder whenever possible. This way, we never replace or overwrite the original game files, which are found in the data folder. For fan translation packs, the sh2e folder is the ideal spot to place their files in. That way, none of the original game files are being overwritten. However, whenever we push out an update for our project, it runs the risk of our project files overwriting the translation pack files. We wanted to fix this, so a user never has to worry about losing their translated files again. With this update, we now support a new, optional lang folder. In terms of hierarchy, the lang folder sits on top of everything else. This means our project will first read files in the lang folder, then the sh2e folder, then finally the data folder. With this new system in place, fan translation packs can rest in the lang folder, and the game will try to always pull language files from this folder first. Files inside the lang folder are no longer at risk of being overwritten by our project updates. And to celebrate this change, we now have a brand new page on the project website called Language Packs. On this page, you can grab fan translation packs for the game that were created with guidance from us on the Enhanced Edition team. As of this time, Castilian Spanish and Brazilian Portuguese are currently offered as translation packs on the project site. Names for those who have worked on these translation packs is included under each download, so be sure to send them a message of support. We anticipate more language packs will be added to this page as time goes on, so keep an eye out. To use the translation pack, simply download the appropriate language pack, unzip the package, and move all of its contents into the game's main folder. Once moved over, everything is set up and ready for you to go. Just launch the game and enjoy Silent Hill 2 in your native tongue with the benefits of what the Enhanced Edition project has to offer.
You can't miss it.
Thanks.
Lastly, some additional features that have been added to this update are: we've added an option to prevent the game from filtering and prioritizing force feedback gamepads when it performs its initial search for compatible controllers. This is what allows you to connect and use an X-Input controller after the game has been launched when using Xidi, which was discussed at the start of this video. We've added an offline installation mode for the setup tool. When you run the setup tool for the first time to install the project, you will be asked midway through the installation process whether you'd like to download the project packages to a temporary folder, or to install the packages to a folder of your choosing for permanent backup purposes. This backup folder can then be used to install the project offline. We've made general touch-ups and further improvements to various audio files. These are all minor adjustments primarily focused on reducing or removing microphone hissing that is otherwise audible in all other versions of the game. We've reduced the file size of several videos in the FMV Enhancement Pack while retaining their overall quality and resolution. This is to help shrink the FMV Enhancement Pack's overall size. In the future, we'd like to look into the possibility of using MP4 videos instead of BINC videos to improve playback performance in the game while reducing the FMV pack's overall size significantly more. Amazing, talented people are continually joining the Enhanced Edition team, and we want to make sure they're properly credited. To achieve this, we included a new credits download package in the setup tool. This package contains just the PC credits video by itself. The purpose of this package is to provide a way to update the PC credits video without needing to download the entire FMV Enhancement Pack each time, which, as previously mentioned, is quite large. And further stability improvements and bug fixes have been added to the project. And that about wraps it up for what's new with the latest update for Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition. This update is now available to download for you to experience these improvements for yourself. Links and information will be in the video description below. The Enhanced Edition team hopes you enjoy the newest update to Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition. And until the next video update, we will see you around in the foggy town of Silent Hill.